How do you know if you are a great professor or if you see a great professor? And there's all these metrics that exist. I'm going to talk about some of these things. And then I'm going to tell you something that's probably really unusual. And you are not going to like it. You might be a little angry at what I actually say, but that's okay. So, how do we know if there is a great professor in your presence? You can look at all sorts of different metrics. We measure this stuff in many different ways, primarily in terms of the research output, in terms of what they're doing. Often we look at teaching ratings in terms of what they're doing. Often we might look at the service things that they're doing, and they're all rated and boiled down in terms of numbers. And we look at these numbers and we say, that's a good professor. That is a great professor. And this isn't an awful professor if they have all of these ratings all lined up in a certain way. Now, those things, coming about those ratings, tends to be a bit of a challenge. It's really interesting. I study human performance and I study how organizations learn and people learn. And when I read a whole bunch of papers, I've read thousands of papers now at this point in books, and I think almost all of them are talking about their personal experiences. And I think almost all of them are talking about the challenges that they actually face in terms of learning or identifying greatness, whatever that is, and what that could possibly be. And the truth is, out of most of those papers is we don't know. And this is the thing that's going to make you angry and going to make you upset. We don't know what makes somebody great or an organization great or any particular entity or actor great. We can come up with all of these different scales and ratings and all of this kind of stuff, and ultimately we can't put our finger on what exactly that is. Now, some people might be upset with the fact that I am telling you this. Some people might be upset with saying, hey, but there is a market that exists, and we know that there is a financial return on some things, but we know that happens. We don't know why there is a financial return. We can't predict, we can't put our finger on what it means to be good, or why is a business more successful than another business. And so why would we expect this huge entity? We don't know, we can't understand it that well. Why would we expect that we can identify an individual that is good or not good? And the truth is, we go through a lot of ritualistic stuff to demonstrate goodness and what is great and what is not great. And the truth is, it's very difficult to identify these things. So, if you are watching somebody and you have a professor and you're thinking about, well, this person wasn't that great, I want you to remember and think about that you still remember them and you still remember their ideas that they taught you. And so even if they weren't great and they made you upset and it was a challenging thing, you still remember what all of the things that were taught to you and all of the sort of interesting things that happened. Now, barring, I'm not gonna, there are some people that say a lot of goofy things and that they're challenging to listen to because they sort of, they say things that perhaps we shouldn't say. But barring that class, that is challenging. We know that those individuals, that there are some that maybe should be, I'm stumbling here because, there are procedures in place that allow, those people to not work as long as they actually should. And people are aware of those. But barring most subset of the people that you're thinking of, other than those spectacularly bad ones, that said derogatory comments and things like that, and all of the, the stuff that probably some people shouldn't be saying. But barring all of that, we often can't know, right? And it's challenging to identify those particular individuals, because even the lessons that were not that great or the challenging things that were taught to you stick with you. And that is the challenging thing. So on that side, and then we don't know, it's very difficult to identify what is something that is a good intellectual effort or a good intellectual contribution versus something that's not. It's ultimately a qualitative thing that we look at. It's like this grass that's behind me. I don't know if this color of green is better than another color of green. I don't know. It's kind of challenging to identify what that actually is. And we can go and we can sort of survey the population in terms of identifying what is the best color of green, but who's to know that that population is still correct? So, I want to point out is that identifying a great professor is often a challenging thing. And everybody struggles with this. We don't know either. So what can you do in terms of, getting something from the situation is come into every situation knowing that you want to learn about something. So even when you don't have a great professor, even when you have somebody that is challenging, I want you to sort of think about, how can I learn from this situation? What can I do to grow from this situation? It's probably not a great situation. So what can I do to learn from it so that I can go forward and do something that's interesting with my own life? There are many walks of people that you're going to come across. You need to understand that these walks of people are in all positions, and you have to figure out how to deal with them and to navigate so that you could do well and good in not only, sort of career-wise and all of that kind of nonsense stuff, but also just be good inside so that you have peace inside. You have some peacefulness that is going on. So my definition of what is a good professor is kind of very simple. Do I feel good around them? Do they make me feel inspired? Do they make me feel like I want to get out and do something? Do they make me feel that I smile even when there is a challenging thing that they're communicating? Do I, even when they're communicating something that is challenging for me to accept, do they respect me inside so that I can go out and do something and I can learn and be powerful in of itself? I think that, in my perspective, even when I read their stuff in terms of research or when I listen to them, do I feel like I can go tackle the world at the end of it? That's my own personal definition. I don't know what that actually is for a lot of people. I think a lot of people actually don't know either in terms of what that actually is. But I do know when I'm around people that are inspiring, that energize me, that I feel good. I don't know. And my definition is a lot different than many other people's definition, and that's okay. I think that is the nature of the world that we actually live in. All right, take care and have a wonderful day. I told you weren't going to like this answer. It's a little frustrating, isn't it? There's not a definitive answer. Welcome to the wonderful world of science. All right, take care and have a wonderful day. Bye.